Well, we were going to do a podcast. Welcome everyone who's going to be joining in on the live. Um, we were going to do a podcast. However, Sereno wasn't able to make it to the podcast anytime soon. Since we've been away for a while, I thought I'd do this live reaction right now, get some content out there for you guys, and just rant because I need to get a couple things off my chest, off what I just watched 20 minutes ago. I I can take losing to Inter in the way that we lost. I mean, it's not that I can take it. It's I can make it more. I can stomach it a little bit more. It's unfortunate loss, but it's a loss, that happens every once in a blue moon. It happens, so what? This loss, I can't take. This loss, I can't take mainly because of the fact that there wasn't one moment in the game that we played well. Not one. There hasn't been a single moment in that 94 minutes that they played where I can say that Napoli played well. Now I understand that there was a little bit of a discrepancy, meaning that we were missing major players in the lineup. Mertens, Insigne, Osimhen. We were missing major guys. But even then, and even still, we do have the firepower to compensate for those losses. Sure, they're not going to be as great as Insigne is in their impact. Insigne, obviously, he's a leader up front, and he a presence on and off the field. He helps the team a lot, no matter what. But even so, even with those guys gone, we still have players that can step up to the plate, theoretically, and be able to play well. Be able to play well. That's all we ask, is just be able to play well. And not one, even out of the starters, not one was able to play well. Not one. Everybody had a bad game. And I'm going to include Reno in this too, because Reno got it all wrong from the start. Everyone had a bad game. Reno got it wrong. That is what it boils down to. We got outclassed. Really, we got outclassed. And we can drop one game during the week, but now we're starting to drop 2 games in the week. And even before this, we were looking shaky and we were barely scraping by with other teams. Yet we were still able to hang on. And now, coming up to the winter break with players that are getting injured. Lozano just got injured today. Who else are we missing? I can't remember. It's a blur for me right now. But we're missing major players going into the break. Thank God we have that break, because other than that, this break is our savior, because if we didn't have this break, God knows what would happen in the future games with the people that we're missing. But that's besides the fact. I'm going to focus more on today. Starting from Ospina. Ospina, he was standing on his head the entire game. He had no help. He didn't have any help. He was in shambles the entire game. Can I help you? Okay. Sorry about that. Ospina was in shambles the entire game, and he was standing on his head. He had no help, and I can't blame him. He didn't really make mistakes, and he just, there was nothing he could do. Then you look at the back line. Mario Rui, Maximovic, Koulibaly, Di Lorenzo, all of them. Not one of them played well. All of them played terribly. Mario Rui even assisting on one of their goals. Koulibaly got hurt too. That's another one. Koulibaly was basically he was another one that was standing on his head basically the entire match by himself until he got hurt. He was constantly cleaning up after the entire back line, making mistakes back and forth. That, you know, I'm speechless because I can't find any redeeming factors at any of them, not one redeeming factor from any of them today. Maximovic, and a shocking game from him too. Like there wasn't one thing that Maximovic did well, in my opinion. In total, other than Koulibaly, who maybe got a 6 in my scorecards, they were all around less than a 5, all of them on that back line. Then you had Di Lorenzo, who also he offered nothing in the attack. He couldn't have any link up play with Politano or Fabian. He was getting shut down and isolated for most of the game, and with the most minimal amount of pressure, and especially for Mario Rui too, on their second goal, with minimal amount of pressure that's applied to them, they crumble. They just give it away. They just give the ball away. They crumble, and they can't get back to defend it. Then you look at the midfield. I got Danny here. Zizou was the best player on the pitch. Yeah, he was. He was the only one that seemed like he had some sort of life left in him to play this match. Bakayoko, honestly, we were better off not having a midfielder. We were better off playing with a man down. Bakayoko was usually when he plays, Bakayoko does well in retaining the ball, winning the ball back, and distributing. Couldn't do that for his life today. Couldn't distribute the ball. He misplaced a lot of passes. I don't have the numbers on me right now. He misplaced a lot of passes. Every time he tried to come back defensively, he couldn't, or he made a mistake, or he missed his mark. And he just had like a bad game. There's no other way to describe it. Just a bad game. Fabian was just as worse. Fabian, to me, he, like, again, slow, like he's always been. Slow on the ball, slow off the ball, and he had trouble distributing. Again, now, when we're looking at Napoli's attacking phase, it all comes from the midfield. So if the attack isn't doing well, that's because the midfield isn't doing well. Because without the midfield, without the players to distribute the ball, the attack can't do much. And in my opinion, the attack today, with the little that they received, were probably the best on the field. Petagna had a couple mishaps here and there. Lozano and Politano, weren't their best, but with what they had, they tried to do the best they could. That's because the midfield today was just atrocious, just awful. There was no link up play from the back to the front. There was zero link up play. Every time they tried to link up, it was either given away, or they crumbled under pressure, or they were just slow, which is like something that we've seen for the last God knows how many games or how many years that we've seen from Napoli. They've just been slow on the ball and off the ball. The movement was minimal. Now, granted, you don't have Osimhen up top. You're missing Insigne. You're missing Mertens. All those guys have that creative style of play. They move around a lot. They try to pull defenders apart. They try to find spaces in between the lines. When you have Petagna and when you have Politano can do it. Lozano can do it. When you have Petagna can't do that. Petagna is a good target man, sure. You get the ball to his feet, he'll make something happen. You get the ball to his feet inside the 18-yard box, he'll turn and he'll strike. He'll probably score a goal here and there, but he can't play in between the lines, in between the spaces. He tries, but he's not quick enough. And he does, and his control is okay, but it's not great. But neither is Osimhen's. But Osimhen can beat them with speed instead. So, like I said, with what they had, that front three did the most they could have done with how everyone else was playing behind them, because everything else behind them was awful, awful. Not one, like I said, not one redeeming factor between the back line and the midfield today, other than Zizou. Danny here has another comment. He said, "Oh, can I pin this mess? What does that do?" I think I probably brought that. Okay, so Danny says, "I don't care what anyone says. Dem should start over Fabian until we upgrade." Fabian and Dem are kind of different players, but I do agree that Dem should be starting because recently he has been one of our best midfielders. And I don't know why he didn't play today. I can't remember if he was injured or not, but I do agree with that statement from Danny. Dem should be playing more often. I feel like Dem, when he's on the field, he offers another thing to the midfield, not only in the distribution sense, but also in the defensive sense, where he's a very high energy, even though it doesn't look like it, he's a very high energy midfielder that tends to get back and win the ball when they need that ball back. But anyways, as I was saying, so my scores for the midfield, like I said, back line, other than Koulibaly, who maybe had a 6, the midfield, like I gotta give like Bakayoko a 5. I gotta see like he did not play well today, and I don't want to give him anything less than a 5 because I don't think that's merited. He still did some things decent, not well, but he did some things that were decent. Fabian, I got to go with the same score. He was a 5 in my books, and Zialu, he probably the best one on the pitch, or one of the best ones on the pitch. I got to give him a 6.5 for his efforts. He did play well. That's the only player that I can agree that played well. Then I'm talking about the attack. I talked about the attack for a bit, but I'm gonna get into a little bit more. Lozano, I felt like was another player that did well today. Like I said, keeping in mind that he did not have much going for him, and the link up play between him, Rui, and Zielinski was on his side, and whenever they played together, they were fine. There was some miscommunications that happened between them, but their link up play was fine. But it was mainly between Rui and Lozano. They couldn't get on the same page on that left side. They and given everything and looking back at it, Lozano for what he received today still tried to make things happen. He was still pressing forward. He was still cutting in between the lines, almost playing like that Insigne role where he cuts towards the half space and tries to get an overlapping run in behind with Petagna or a ball over the top into Politano. But Politano wasn't really playing that role because Politano was also cutting in, which doesn't really work when you have two wingers cutting into the middle and the wide. There's nobody on the wide parts of the pitch. But Lozano, to me, did play decently well. I got to give him a 6 on the scorecards. And that's just, a 6 in this sense is a 10 in any other sense. Like, that's probably the highest rating that's probably going to be given out today is a 6 or the 6.5 that I gave Zielinski. Petagna. Okay. Now we're on the topic of Petagna. Petagna is good. Don't let people fool you in saying that he's not a good player. Petagna is a good player. He's a different player, though. He's a different player than what the role he has been assigned right now. Petagna isn't the striker that should be playing like Osimhen, playing between the lines, looking for the open spaces in between the lines, turning and pressing up the field with the ball, beating defenders with dribbling and speed. That's not Petagna. Petagna isn't built like that. Petagna is built like a target man. he is more of a classical number 9 than Osimhen is. What that means is that Petagna, he's going to stay centrally. He's going to deviate a little bit to find more space in between the center backs and slip in between the zonal markings. He's going to make a sprint towards the net. He's going to get the ball to his foot, and he's going to put it in the back of the net. It's a very straightforward, direct play. He runs towards the net. You get the ball to his foot, he will most likely put it in the back of the net. That is Andrea Petagna. Andrea Petagna cannot play the way Osimhen plays. And that's what he tried to do today. And you know what? In today's sense, I'm glad he did it because he did try to make an effort to get in behind and try to make things happen within the box. That's fine. In this sense, I can sort of see it. But he knows, and we all know, that he doesn't do that well. Instead, their play when Petagna is on the field should revolve more towards the high crosses into the box or the darting runs in on target, or even just playing man up to a defender. One defender is marking him. Lazio plays a back 3, right? So one center back is going to be marking Petagna, who is the central striker. He plays up against that center back, which I think was Wesley Hope today. He plays man up against him. He uses his strength. He uses his physicality. He wins the ball, and he can make some plays happen. Even if that's not the case, you play the ball wide. Your first look should be at Petagna in the box because he's very good in the air as well. He's an aerial threat. He really is. So try to get the balls into him. They tried sometimes, but Napoli has a big problem with crosses, especially from the left side, especially when Mario Rui plays. They just cannot get the ball into the box. They cannot beat the front man on set pieces. If they do beat the front man, it goes 20 meters wide the other way. So that's something they need to work on for sure. But if you can get that ball into the box and play with that classical number 9 that Petagna is, you would have much more success than what was going on today. Because what was going on today was Petagna trying to play like an Osimhen or a Mertens, and that doesn't work. And then we have, I forgot to give him a score, right? Sorry, that was a big rant. His score, I'll give him a 5.5. And then Politano, who just had a shocker of a game. That never would I ever expect Politano to play like that, to be honest with you. I actually have no words for like how bad he played. He just didn't play well. He did not play well. There's no other words to describe how he played. Not well. That's it. That's all I got to say to him. Score 5.5. 5. Let me change that. 5. So to me, the best players on the pitch today, Ospina, because he was standing on his head. The guy, I feel bad for him. He did not have anything going on in front of him. Zielinski, Lozano. Those 3 guys were, to me, the only players that were deemed decent enough on the pitch today. Now, we're getting into this break. We're entering the January transfer market. Especially with the injuries that we have now. So now we have Mertens injured. Osimhen still injured. Lozano just got injured today, looked pretty bad. He couldn't walk off the field, which is a big blow. It's a big blow, but we still have Elmas to compensate. I feel like Elmas can do well. And who else is injured? Koulibaly may be injured. I don't think it's that bad. He'll probably be back in a couple of weeks, which is fine. But Koulibaly's injured. So as it stands right now, 5 starters. Did I count that right? 4 starters, right? Dries, Lozano, Osimhen. 4 starters. I'm off today. 4 starters are currently injured. One's been injured for over a couple months now, and the other ones are going to be injured for about a month or so. So they're going to be missing the first matches back. Napoli have to invest in this transfer market. There's no other way around it. if you have to sell players, Milik still has to be sold. If they can sell Milik, that's fine. That's already a good start. Maybe if they sell one, I don't know, but I think Milik should be the only one sold in January and keep everyone else. But you have to start looking for more transfer potential. First that comes to mind, Papu Gomez. Now it's a long shot. It's very much a long shot. But Papu Gomez is only, I think, max 10 million euros. And Papu Gomez is a class player. And now that we don't have Mertens, and Insigne is going to be playing mainly on the left side, Zielinski comes in and out, Papu Gomez should be a signing that you're looking for to play in that cam position. He should be one of the top signings you should be looking for. Number 2, a left back. Now, left back's not going to come in January, but it's something to start thinking about in the summer transfer market, because after today, it's evident that a left back is needed. Mario Rui does the job sometimes. You can't have a left back that does the job sometimes. You need a left back that does the job always. There's a difference. There's a big difference. Mario Rui does the job sometimes, in the sense that when he is calm, when things are going right, when he doesn't have that pressure on him, Mario Rui can play very well, and he has. And I don't admit it often, but he does. He plays very well, except for when he starts to get pressure put on him. Then, like we see what happens today, Mario Rui gives the ball away. He crumbles under pressure. He gets a little bit nervous. He starts making silly fouls. He starts giving away silly plays. It's these things that start building up during the course of a match and over time that start to give Napoli the disadvantage in the left back position and in the back line as a whole. And that is something that needs to be fixed within this next year. Whether it's in January, which I don't think it'll happen, or if it's in summer, that situation needs to be fixed. And the cam position, obviously, in January should be a one to look at. And then in the summer, we'll cross that bridge when we get there with that transfer market. Now, I've rambled for 20 minutes. I don't want to keep you guys for much longer. I'm going to finish off with saying this. I am... Okay, it's understandable that we are all upset. I am very upset. If you can ask anyone from the Napoli Club Toronto, just go through my Twitter, go through the Napoli Club Toronto. I'm openly upset about this loss, not because of the fact that we lost, but because of the way we lost. There's a difference. The way we lost, it showed that we didn't have a fire. We didn't have that passion. Granted, I know people are going to say, but Carmine, we didn't have 4 starters and we had everything against us. Fine, yes, okay. We were missing people, but we have the firepower. We have the pieces to make it work regardless, and it didn't. There is no excuse for that. There's zero excuse for that. We have the pieces. We just couldn't make them work. And today's loss, as much as it is on the players, it's on Rino as well. It was a team loss. Everybody, from the top all the way down to the bottom, everyone. There is no excuses for this match. We can try to make them. We can try to rationalize them. There are no excuses. The pieces were there. They couldn't figure it out. Now we have to take this time and figure it out over the break. We are still in a decent position. I believe we are 5th right now, but let me double check that right now. I believe we are in 5th, and we can still come up to the top 4. We have Torino in our next match. We're in 5th place right now, tied for 6th with Sassuolo, who just lost today too. We're only down by a point from 4th place. So As bad as it seems, we're still in a decent position. Let's all remember this. I want to try to be as level-headed as I can now. I took about 20 minutes to think about it, even during the match near the end. As bad as we played and as pissed off as I am, we are still in a decent position. Let's remember this. Okay? We're 1 point off of fourth place. It's not impossible. We played our hardest matches already. The other teams still have to play their hardest matches. We just need to start focusing on the second half of the season. All right? So come January, it's gonna have to be like a clean slate. Come January, we do something in the transfer market, which I hope we do. We figure out whatever went wrong within these last couple of games. I think Rino will take this time to self-reflect and contemplate and criticize even himself on what he did wrong. And this team, I felt like counting them out, but it's a stupid thing for me to do because I'm not going to count them out, and I never will. This team still has the potential. This team can still do damage. We still have the Europa League. We still have Coppa Italia. We're only 1 point off from the Champions League position. Calm. Let's all try to stay calm now. In retrospect, we are all pissed off. I think we could all agree that we're pissed off. In retrospect, we take a step back. We think about it. We go, listen, as bad as it was today, it's not as bad as what it seems like in the long run. That's all. Thanks.